Hey there, welcome back, my lovely romantics. Or if you're new here, well, buckle up, because tonight, you're in for a ride. Let me ask you something. Have you ever absolutely despised someone at work? Like, every word they say annoys you. Every meeting becomes a battlefield. And yet, somehow, your heart races whenever they're in the room? Yeah, that kind of hate. This story isn't about soulmates who found each other at first sight. Nope. This is about two people who couldn't stand each other until one night changed everything. They didn't plan it. They didn't even want it. But sometimes, life doesn't care what you want. All it takes is one unexpected night, one hotel room, one secret shared till late at night, and suddenly, the lines between hate and love blur faster than you'd ever imagine. So grab a blanket, maybe a glass of wine or some chocolate, whatever makes your heart happy, because this story, it's messy, it's frustrating, it's full of tension, stolen glances, and slow burn chemistry that'll make you scream at your screen. Oh, and it all starts with a project deadline and a really bad first impression. Let's dive in.
Our story begins in a sleek, open-concept office in downtown Chicago, the headquarters of Wavelength Creative, one of the fastest-growing marketing agencies in the country. You know the type: glass walls, overpriced espresso machines, standing desks, and a bunch of overworked creatives in sneakers and designer hoodies trying to look effortlessly cool. At the heart of this storm was Olivia Harper, a senior brand strategist with a reputation as sharp as her black blazer. She was precise, ruthless with feedback, never late to a meeting, and allergic to small talk. Her brain operated like a chessboard, always 10 steps ahead. Clients loved her, interns feared her, and co-workers, well, they respected her from a safe distance. Then came Ethan Reyes, fresh from the West Coast, with rolled-up sleeves and that irritating "I've got a vision" sparkle in his eyes. He was hired as the agency's new creative director, a move that raised eyebrows, especially Olivia's. He strolled in on his first day with a skateboard under his arm, yes, seriously, and pitched ideas like, "Let's throw out the brand book and make people feel something." To Olivia, he was chaos, a walking TED Talk with too much charm and too little structure. To Ethan, she was ice, a control freak in heels who mistook spreadsheets for strategy. They clashed from the very first meeting. Ethan thought Olivia shot down his ideas just to assert dominance. Olivia thought Ethan was all flair and no follow-through. And when the CEO announced that they'd be co-leading the firm's biggest campaign of the year, a multi-million-dollar rebrand for a national coffee chain, you could practically hear the collective gasp in the room. Neither of them looked thrilled. No one expected it to work, but no one dared to say it out loud. The project kickoff was a mess. Olivia came armed with data, timelines, risk assessments. Ethan showed up with mood boards, acoustic playlists, and a latte he made himself. Meetings turned into battlegrounds. Every email was laced with passive aggression. Every presentation was a power struggle. And yet, no one could deny the results. Their ideas, when they did manage to blend, were electric. Clients were impressed. Deadlines were met. But inside the walls of Wavelength, the air between them crackled with tension that had nothing to do with creativity. Everyone noticed the bickering, the sarcasm, the way Olivia's voice always got just a little tighter when Ethan spoke, and the way Ethan's smile got just a little cockier when she rolled her eyes. They hated each other, at least, that's what they told themselves. But the truth was hiding beneath the way he always remembered her coffee order, or how she once stayed late fixing a deck he'd messed up and never mentioned it again. They didn't know it yet, but hate was just the fire. Something else was coming. And it would all start on a business trip neither of them wanted to take in a city they didn't care about, under one roof they couldn't escape. Back at Wavelength Creative's gleaming Chicago office, the tension between Olivia and Ethan was thicker than the triple-shot lattes fueling every meeting. Their project kickoff had ended in stalemate, but the real battle was only just beginning. On Monday morning, the war of ideas reignited in the glass-walled conference room. Ethan swaggered in carrying a stack of large-format mood boards. Each board exploded with vibrant color swatches, hand-drawn sketches, and bold taglines like brew, emotion, and sip the story. He clicked the remote, and a video montage of steaming coffee cups and smiling customers filled the screen. Olivia sat perfectly still, her arms folded, eyes narrowed. When the video ended, she stood and walked to the front. With laser pointer precision, she highlighted charts and graphs on her printed deck. According to our market research, she began, 65% of our target demographic prioritizes flavor consistency over novelty. Your concept, while visually stunning, ignores the data we need to justify a multi-million-dollar campaign. Ethan crossed his arms, leaning back. Data is great, he replied, voice steady, but data alone doesn't move hearts. It's the story we tell that makes people connect. Stories don't pay the bills, Olivia shot back. Numbers do. If we can't prove ROI, we don't get to tell any story. The room fell silent as their colleagues exchanged uneasy glances. Only Michael, their team lead, dared to intervene. Both valid points. Let's integrate Olivia's metrics with Ethan's narrative. A hybrid approach, and just like that, the meeting adjourned, no resolution, just another layer of friction. With a 4-week deadline looming, the project timeline became Olivia's gospel. She drafted a color-coded Gantt chart down to the hour, assigning tasks, milestones, and buffer periods for unforeseen setbacks. She emailed it to the team with the subject line, "Strict timeline, please adhere." Ethan opened the chart and let out a low whistle. Buffer periods? Seriously? He muttered. To him, the timeline felt suffocating, like painting by numbers instead of freehand. He drafted a more flexible schedule, creative flow calendar. He called it, leaving entire days blank for brainstorming and inspiration gathering. He attached it with a cheerful note. Let's leave room for magic. Olivia's reply was immediate and scathing. Magic won't impress the client. Precision will. Please revise. Ethan responded with 3 alternative flow templates, one with sunrise yoga breaks, one with off-site coffee shop brainstorms, one with a karaoke night to spark synergy. The entire team received the emails. Some people found it amusing, others found it infuriating, but everyone agreed the friction was real. Their email threads grew longer, with subject lines like Ray, urgent font sizes, Ray, mood board feedback, and final. I hope. Ethan's mock-ups arrived dripping with GIFs and playful fonts. Olivia's comments came back in bullet point PDFs, each note meticulously numbered. Slide 2, too many fonts. Slide 4, inconsistent color palette. Slide 7, need performance benchmarks. One afternoon, Olivia found Ethan's mock-up file open on her monitor, full of neon pink headers and a dancing coffee bean icon. She rolled her eyes so hard she nearly saw her brain. She opened her PDF on his machine, and he discovered 14 pages of strategic adjustments, complete with margin notes. They began to avoid each other in the hallway, Olivia at her standing desk in the corner, Ethan at the communal drafting table by the espresso machine. Yet, oddly, each would leave helpful comments on the other's work. Olivia added a chart. That improved Ethan's slide. Ethan suggested a color tweak that made Olivia's data visualization pop. Watching this circus from above, Michael decided to take drastic action. "You two are the only ones who can pull this off," he told them in a huddle. "So I'm sending you to the Brand Vision Summit in Seattle next week. Together, no solo sessions, no separate flights." Olivia's jaw dropped. "Together? In Seattle?" she repeated. Ethan raised an eyebrow. "You're seriously doing this to us?" Michael nodded. 3 days of workshops, panels, and group challenges. You'll come back with insights, and I expect a unified plan. And just like that, they were booked on the same flight, sharing an itinerary and a hotel room. There was no hiding from each other, no way to retreat into individual comfort zones. Michael's plan was clear. If competition was the fire, collaboration would be the crucible. As they packed their bags, each carried more than just clothes. Olivia packed her trusty notebook, color-coded pens, and a printed stack of backup charts. Ethan stuffed in his sketchpad, portable speaker, and 3 different novelty coffee mugs. Neither admitted it, but both wondered, would this forced proximity finally push them to find common ground or push them to their breaking point? Because in Seattle, under the guise of team building, the real experiment was about to begin. Could 2 people who despised each other actually create something extraordinary together? Or would the rivalry consume them both? By the time their final workshop wrapped up on Sunday afternoon, Seattle skies had already begun their signature show. A steady downpour that turned sidewalks into slick mirrors of neon lights. Exhausted, Olivia and Ethan gathered their gear. In the conference hall foyer, each focused on escape routes home. But as they approached the hotel shuttle pickup, an announcement crackled over the PA. "Due to flooding in the city, all roads into downtown are closed. Guests, please remain at the conference center or head to your hotels as soon as possible." Olivia's heart sank. She rifled through her phone. No Ubers available, taxis were stuck, and the shuttle back to the wavelength-designated hotel wouldn't arrive for at least an hour. Ethan fared no better. When they finally boarded the packed shuttle standing room, only the driver grimly informed them that only half the rooms at the Westlake Inn were safe to occupy. The rest had electrical issues from the storm. At the hotel lobby, the scene was chaotic. Guests clustered in soggy coats, dragging suitcases, faces pinched with frustration. The front desk clerk, flanked by blinking emergency lights, offered a tired apology. "I'm so sorry. We've overbooked, and the power flicker knocked out half our floors. I have 2 rooms left, both suites, but we're assigning them as doubles to guests per room." Olivia and Ethan exchanged a glance. Neither spoke, but the silent calculus was clear. They'd be sharing a room. After a beat, Olivia cleared her throat. "I suppose we'll take one of the suites together." Ethan nodded, too drained to argue. They signed the registration forms side by side, each aware of the irony. The agency had forced them to collaborate in Seattle, and now the storm would force them under one roof. Their suite room 712 was small but tidy. 2 queen beds separated by a narrow nightstand, a small seating area, and a window overlooking the rain-slicked street. The overhead light flickered once, then steadied. Olivia dropped her carry-on. By the far bed, eyes fixed on the opposite wall, Ethan set his laptop bag on the other bed and fished out his portable speaker. Neither unpacked. They stood awkwardly in the middle of the room, rain pattering against the window. Finally, Olivia broke the silence. "I'll be on that side," she said, pointing to the bed nearest the door. If you need anything, just ask. Her tone was clipped professional. Ethan gave a small smile. Sure, I'll try not to snore. He turned toward his bed and dropped onto it with a soft thud. Olivia moved to her bed and sat on the edge, still in her heels. She kicked them off, flexed her toes, and exhaled. The room smelled of damp carpet and stale coffee. After a few minutes, the tension felt suffocating. Ethan closed his laptop and stretched. Do you mind if I charge my phone at the outlet by your bed? Olivia glanced at the nightstand, one outlet to devices. She hesitated, then said, Go ahead. He plugged in, and the soft click of the charger seemed to thaw the air just a bit. Ethan cleared his throat. I guess this is our only option tonight. Olivia nodded, tracing raindrops on the window with her finger. Seems so. Hated, then sat on the edge of his bed. Can I ask why you took brand strategy? Most people in marketing start in creative. Olivia looked up, surprised by the question. She closed her eyes for a moment. My parents split when I was 12. My mom was always late on bills. I promised myself I'd never let numbers slip through my fingers. Strategy felt safe. Ethan listened quietly. Olivia's guard was down, her voice softer than she intended. Encouraged, Ethan leaned forward. I switched from law school to marketing because I felt stuck. My dad wanted me to be a lawyer, but I'm terrible with rules. I'm better with ideas, so I quit law, took a pay cut, and chased this crazy dream. He shrugged, eyes earnest. Worst decision I ever made or best? I'm still figuring it out. Olivia offered a small smile. I get that. Safe choices can feel like cages. She paused, then added, I never told anyone at work about my mom's medical bills or the night I slept in my car after the lease ended. I guess I thought people would see me as weak. Ethan shook his head. That's not weakness. That's strength. He paused. I'm glad you told me. The lights flickered again, plunging them into brief darkness before stabilizing. In that moment, the distance between the beds felt smaller. As the rain intensified, they moved to the seating area, each with a cup of room service coffee. Olivia sipped slowly. Ethan stirred in sugar. They talked about small things, favorite Seattle coffee shops, guilty pleasure TV shows, childhood, pets. Laughter came more easily now, punctuating the storm outside. The clock on the nightstand read 11:47 p.m. The wind howled, rattling the window panes. Olivia yawned. Ethan glanced at her. Rough day? She nodded. Longest week of my life. He stood and offered his hand. Come on, let's call it a night. Olivia took his hand for a moment, just enough to feel the warmth, and let him guide her back to her bed. They stood facing each other under the soft glow of the bedside lamp. Olivia tugged at her pajama top, suddenly self-conscious. Ethan reached out, brushing a stray lock of hair behind her ear. His fingers lingered at her jawline. She looked up, heart pounding. He leaned in slowly, eyes searching hers. For a second, the world outside ceased. The storm, the stress, the rivalry all faded. Then his lips met hers in a gentle, hesitant kiss. It lasted only a heartbeat before they both pulled back, breathless. Olivia's cheeks flushed. She looked away. She started, then paused. Ethan swallowed. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. She lifted a finger to his lips. No, her voice trembled. I don't regret it. Their eyes locked again, and in that charged moment, they both realized something fundamental had shifted. Ethan returned to his bed, and Olivia to hers, but sleep eluded them. Instead, they lay awake, thinking of the other. Outside, the storm raged on, but inside the suite, A fragile warmth blossomed, a promise that hate could indeed transform into something far more powerful. When morning came, they would face the world as colleagues again, critiquing slides, debating timelines, but tonight had changed them. In the hush of that Seattle suite, they discovered each other's hidden cracks and shared a moment that neither strategy nor creativity could fully explain. And that was the night everything began. Back in Chicago, the rain-soaked memories of Seattle felt like a dream. Yet every time Olivia sipped her morning latte, she saw Ethan's gentle touch by the bedside lamp. And Ethan, whenever he opened his laptop, felt a flutter, recalling the warmth of Olivia's gaze in that dim suite. Monday morning arrived with its usual frenzy. The hum of computers, the hiss of the espresso machine, the click-clack of keyboards. Olivia rounded the corner to her standing desk and nearly collided with Ethan, who was carrying a stack of printouts. Their eyes met, hers widened. His flickered with surprise, and then they both looked away, pretending nothing happened. Olivia cleared her throat. "Morning," Ethan nodded, voice hoarse. "Morning." They walked past each other, each acutely aware of the narrow hallway. Colleagues whispered behind their backs, "Did you see them?" Something's different, but neither Olivia nor Ethan acknowledged it. In their first post-Seattle meeting, Michael opened with, "I trust everyone's back to business as usual." Olivia and Ethan shared a fleeting glance before returning to their notes. Olivia's slides were impeccable, crisp data, bullet point precision, but she avoided Ethan's eye, even when he presented the new storyboard. Ethan's mood board sparkled with fresh ideas, but he kept his distance, refusing to meet Olivia's gaze during her feedback. Emails flew as normal, no GIFs, no late-night chats. When Ethan sent a revised mock-up, Olivia's reply was brisk, "See attached notes." When Olivia circulated a detailed timeline, Ethan responded with, "Looks good." Their collaboration continued, but the unspoken tension hummed beneath every interaction. Despite the charade, change was inevitable. Olivia found herself pausing before sending scathing comments, sometimes deleting whole paragraphs of criticism. Once, she caught Ethan staring at her during a brainstorming session. Instead of rolling her eyes as usual, she offered a small, appreciative nod before returning to her notes. Ethan, too, felt the shift. He arrived early to refill Olivia's favorite oat milk latte, something he'd only discovered in Seattle, and left it at her desk with a sticky note. "Thought you might need this." When Olivia glanced at it, her stern face cracked into a grateful smile. Yet both fought the feelings stirring within. Olivia buried herself in work, insisting to friends that she was simply staying focused. Ethan threw himself into late-night design sessions, telling his roommate he was chasing the creative high. Each avoided the other in the break room, Olivia at the standing counter, Ethan by the window. If their paths crossed, they exchanged quick, awkward nods, eyes darting away. Neither dared admit the truth, that the line between hate and something much deeper had blurred, leaving them both exhilarated and terrified. The week after Seattle felt like a honeymoon until a single email shattered the fragile peace. Late Thursday afternoon, Ethan sat at his desk, tweaking the final presentation deck for the client's approval. His phone buzzed with a message from Michael. "Great work on the Seattle insights. Keep it up, you're making a strong impression." Ethan smiled, then forwarded the praise to Olivia with a quick note. "Just heard from Michael, he loved our Seattle summary. Looks like we're on track to nail this." He hit send and returned to his slides. Moments later, Olivia's reply arrived. "Don't get cocky. You know this is a team effort. Let's stay focused." He chuckled at her signature bluntness and clicked away. Unbeknownst to Ethan, Olivia was drafting a reply to another colleague at the same time. In her haste, she accidentally forwarded her private message intended for her friend Jess to Ethan. The message read, "I don't trust Reyes. He's good at charming everyone, but I swear he's just currying favor with Michael. I'm keeping my guard up." Ethan opened the email and froze. The words stabbed at him. Currying favor. Just pretending. He stared at the screen, disbelief turning to hurt. Every late-night chat, every supportive gesture suddenly felt like part of some calculated ploy. He closed the email and shut his laptop, heart pounding. The next morning, Ethan arrived at the office with a storm cloud over his usually bright demeanor. Olivia approached him by the coffee station. Morning, he cut her off, voice low and cold. "Care to explain this?" He slid his phone across the counter, screen glowing with her message. Olivia's eyes widened. "What? How did you?" He pointed angrily. "You think I'm using you to impress Michael? That I don't actually care about this project or you?" Olivia's face flushed. "That was private, meant for Jess. Save it," Ethan snapped. "I thought we were friends, partners, but maybe I was wrong." The office fell silent as their colleagues watched. Olivia's throat worked. "Ethan, please." He shook his head, stepping back. "I can't do this anymore." By noon, Ethan had submitted a formal request to transfer off the project, citing irreconcilable working differences. Michael, blindsided, called an emergency meeting. Olivia tried to apologize, to explain, but Ethan refused to listen. As Ethan packed his files, Olivia stood at his desk. "Ethan, wait." He paused, arms loaded with printouts. "No, Olivia, I trusted you, but trust is gone." He turned away, voice barely above a whisper. "Good luck with the presentation." He walked out, leaving Olivia staring at the empty chair and the half-composed apology on her screen. The project that had once brought them together now threatened to tear them apart. The final presentation day arrived with the sharp tension of unfinished business. The conference room buzzed with anticipation. Executives, department heads, and clients took their seats as Olivia stood near the screen, fingers lightly trembling on the clicker. Ethan wasn't there. He hadn't replied to her apology email. He hadn't come to rehearsals. He hadn't said a word since requesting the transfer. But Olivia had decided. Today, she wouldn't just present the pitch, they'd see all of her. The truth, the regret, and the part of her that had been too afraid to speak when it mattered most. She clicked through the first few slides, voice steady, eyes scanning the room. But as she reached the turning point, the emotional heart of the project, the door creaked open. Ethan stepped inside. He looked tired, like he hadn't slept, but his eyes were fixed on her. Olivia faltered mid-sentence, her breath caught. "I'm sorry," Ethan said, loud enough for the whole room to hear. Murmurs rippled across the space. Olivia blinked. He walked toward her, voice steady now. "Before you finish, I need to say something." He turned to the clients with a brief nod, then faced her fully. "I left because I was hurt, but I didn't walk away because I stopped caring. I walked away because I cared too much. And I thought you didn't." He took another step closer. "But that night in Seattle, and every day after, I wasn't pretending. I didn't just fall for you that night. I've been falling ever since." Gasps echoed. Olivia stood frozen, heart thudding in her chest. She whispered, "You idiot. You could have told me sooner." A laugh broke from Ethan's lips. "I was scared." "So was I," she said, stepping toward him. They met in the center of the room, and before anyone could say a word more, Olivia reached up and kissed him softly at first, then with all the emotion that had been bottled up between brainstorms and late-night coffees and unsent texts. The room erupted in applause. Someone whistled. Michael raised his coffee in a silent toast. Olivia pulled back, cheeks flushed, breathless. Now, if you'll excuse us, she said, grinning at the stunned clients, we have a pitch to finish. Ethan laughed, sliding into the seat beside her. Let's knock it out of the park. The rest of the presentation flowed like magic, authentic, dynamic, and alive with a chemistry no slide deck could fake. When it was over, and the clients applauded again for both the idea and the couple, Olivia turned to Ethan and whispered, I'm glad you came back. He reached for her hand beneath the table. I never really left. And just like that, what began as rivalry turned into something real, something neither of them expected, but both desperately needed. Olivia and Ethan's story isn't just about falling in love, it's about letting go of pride, learning to listen, and discovering that sometimes the person who drives you the craziest is exactly the one your heart has been waiting for. But what happens after the kiss? Will working together as a couple be easier or even more complicated? Will their love survive boardroom deadlines, creative clashes, and the weight of expectations? Or will a new challenge pull them in different directions again? Love, after all, isn't just found in romantic moments, it's in the day-to-day, the tension, the laughter, the compromise. So, what would you do if the person you couldn't stand turned out to be the one you couldn't live without? Would you take the risk? Would you fight for it? Would you let them in? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, your theories, your dreams, your enemies to lovers stories. We love hearing from you. And if this story touched your heart even just a little, don't forget to hit subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and turn on that notification bell so you never miss another love story that makes your heart race. Because here, every week, we bring you a new tale where love finds a way even in the most unexpected places.